Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, today with more Pillarless tabletop games with Sid Meier's Civilization, the board game from 2010. Yeah. This specific version is a revised printing. They figured uh, some of the stuff that needed to be replaced with expansion stuff and fixed it for this. So the expansion replacements aren't needed. This is also the a version that replaces the previous Chinese leader with Hu Zetian instead. The previous Chinese leader is, you can guess. Anyway, the goal of Sid Meier's Civilization, the board game, is to achieve one of four paths to victory: military victory, cultural victory, economic victory, and technological victory. There, we go. Space flight. Yeah, sorry about the lighting. All right. At the start of the game, you will have your choice of civilization. The base game comes with the Americans, the Russians, the Chinese, the Germans, the Egyptians, and the Romans. Other expansions will add like the Greeks, the Zulus, Spanish, the English. Lots of fun stuff. Yeah, you'll have your starting civilization. Um, you will start with a capital city on the dedicated tile for your civilization. I'm going to feature that in a little bit better detail. So there are four places to put your capital: here, 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 and here. The little symbol is the recommended location. You are free to ignore that and do something a little bit more bold, like um, completely cover up the one resource that your starting technology relies on. You'll have your starting tile with your starting capital and your starting figures. You'll start with an army and a scout. They will start in the outskirts of your city. They do not get to occupy your city. That is expansion only stuff. You might have other things as well. Like the Americans start with a random great person. The Russians very specifically have their own unique army unit that goes to them only. You might also start with an alternative government as well. You will start with an amount of trade based on the number of trade symbols in the outskirts of your city. If you have any coins from uh, your your outskirts, you'll add those to your coin dial. Your starting tech will form the first block of your tech pyramid, regardless of its level. So Russians start with communism, and communism's a level 3 tech, but it will count as level 1 for the purposes of the tech pyramid. And finally, you'll start with three military units of various strengths, one of each type. We have the archer representing artillery, the spearman representing infantry, and the horseman representing mounted. We will go into the rock paper scissors mechanic of the military units when we get to combat. Good. Okay. It will be a random first player to take the first turn. Setting up other things, the Ancient Wonders will be the first ones to be set out. The Medieval will be shuffled, the Modern will be shuffled, and the Medieval will be put on top of the Modern stack. Expansions will add more wonders. What will happen is you will shuffle all of the combined games, wonders of a given type, and then randomly get 4 of them per type. Ancient, medieval, modern. Before people get their cards for the military units, they'll be shuffled in their own deck. The buildings available will be stacked. Um, they can be stacked on top of the board, or they can be stacked to the side of the board just to look better. The Great People tokens will be mixed up and stacked as well as the various huts or barbarian villages and huts for gathering things. Okay. And then you'll have a random first player to take the first, to go first in the round of play. So at the start of the turn, um, if it's not the first turn of the game, the first player marker will get passed clockwise. Scouts that are occupying a space that is eligible for building a city can be spent to build that city. All right, let's just get right into that aspect. Okay. So let's say this area has been explored. Those huts are up. And we have a scout. The scout, in order to be built into a city, there cannot be any barbarian villages or bitty huts in the outskirts. The outskirts cannot overlap with an already existing city. There cannot be enemy units in the outskirts. It cannot be built on the edge. You have to have the full outskirts of the city available. And you cannot build on water. As long as you're on land space and there's 8 empty squares of no huts, no villages, no enemies, and you have the extra city to do it, then sacrifice the scout, and you now have a new city. You are limited to 2 cities at the start of the game. In order to have a third city available, you have to research irrigation. But that's how you get new cities out there. And you're going to want every city you can get because that's how you will get more actions to work with. And more trade, more resources, more everything. Okay. Additionally, during the start of turn step, you can switch to a new government that you have researched. If you researched it in the previous turn, research step, you can go immediately to it without having to do a transitional period of anarchy. If you're switching to a government that you did not research in the previous turn, then what will happen is you will move your government to anarchy. Your capital loses its action this turn. Next turn, you may change to a different government you have unlocked. You can always go back to despotism. It has no benefits, but no drawbacks. One of the expansions changes it, I believe. All right. There may be other start of turn stuff as well, and that's when you would do it. Limit trade. No. It might be in culture cards. or wonders. Like the Colossus. Start of turn, gain one trade. Once everyone is done with their start of turn stuff, you will go to trade. Collect all the. Where is it? Where's the symbol? This symbol, these two arrows. This is trade. Everything that you have in your outskirts of your city will then get applied to your trade dial. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And now players can make deals to exchange resource tokens, points of trade, unspent culture tokens, unused culture cards, non-binding promises. Someone might have access to a resource that you really need, and you might have something that they want from you. All right. Once trade is done, go to city management. For every city you have in play, you take a city action, one action for that city, uh, for each of your cities. Each city can do something different or can do its own the same as another one. Here's what you do. You build. You'll notice on screw it, use a different tile. Some parts of the map show hammers. Apparently, this is a Civ 4 thing. But anyway, you count up all the hammers in your outskirts, and that's how many points of production you have to work with. You have the option to rush production by spending trade. Every 3 points of trade gives you one extra production, unless you are the Americans, in which case you'll get two. That production can be spent on the following. A new army figure is costs 4. A new scout costs 6. A new unit card costs 5 if you haven't increased the rank of that type yet. You can build a building provided you've unlocked it with your technology. So Americans start with currency. Currency features the market as a buildable option. That would take 7 production to build this. And these buildings are built anywhere except water. Every building type is going to have its own restrictions. The market, the temple, and the barracks can be built on any terrain except water. You are limited to a single star building per city. So if you build a temple, you cannot build a market or the barracks. The granary and library can only be built on grass. The mountains are the only place you can build the workshop, like here and here. Deserts are the only place you can build a trading post. And water is the only place you can build a harbor. So with the way I've got my first city, if I've unlocked the appropriate technology for it, I could potentially have a trading post, a couple harbors, and 3 workshops, and then something could go here. Maybe a wonder. Oh yeah, building wonders. Wonders are horribly expensive. You are limited to a single wonder per city, and you cannot combine multiple cities together to make up the production. Stonehenge costs 10, and it's just a straight up 10. Others might cost a little bit more, but then get discounted with the right technology. The Colossus, for example, is 15, or 10 if you have metalworking, and metalworking is a level 1 technology. So as long as you have this only costs you 10. After a wonder is built out of the wonder market, it gets replaced. Medieval wonders will be a little bit more expensive, and then modern wonders will be the most expensive. Wonders are important for cultural uh, victory, as they'll provide anywhere from 1, 2, or 3 points of culture on their own. And they'll have bonus effects that are very helpful to have. Again, the Colossus provides trade. Stonehenge provides culture. Let's start a turn. But again, um, you cannot combine production from cities together. You cannot split production between two things without an appropriate technology. Um, Engineering is the key to taking big production cities and making small things on maps. Okay, so city action potential choices. Number 1 is building. Number 2 is devote a city to the arts. You get 1 point of culture, little column thing, plus 1 for every culture symbol in your city's outskirts. So with this great person, that's 2. That's plus 2 on top of the 1 for taking the action. That's 3 points of culture. You can then spend that culture to move up on your culture track. Moving into a space that shows the Roman numeral for that stage of the track gets you a card. Your hand limit for these cards is 2 plus any bonuses on the tech cards that you currently have. And if the shading is, yeah, okay. Culture cards do various things. For example, we've got exchange of ideas at the start of turn. Choose another player. Learn a level 1 tech of your choice belonging to that player for free. They learn a level 1 tech of their choice belonging to you for free. And it has to be an actual level 1. Um, in the event that I believe this is a starting tech, it only counts as level 1 for the purposes of making the pyramid. It's not an actual level 1 tech. All right. It's possible to move into this symbol, which is a great person. There are multiple types of great people. They provide anywhere from, extra trade, extra production, extra culture, extra coins, to, where is it? There we go. The generals that provide extra combat power. They will occupy a place in the outskirts of your city. as long as it's not occupied by water or a building, and provide you with those benefits. The third thing you can do with your city is harvest a resource. As you can see in the outskirts of this capital, we have silk and incense. If we had started the city here, we could have wheat instead. If we started the city here, we'd have iron instead. At the start of the game, a market of resources is made from these tokens equal to the number of players. You cannot harvest a resource if it's already depleted, but resources that are spent from here uh, go back to that market. The only other ways to get resources are culture cards or the various huts and villages scattered across the unknown world. One of the things that can be done with scouts is they can occupy a spot outside of city outskirts or in opponent's outskirts, uh, and then send whatever's there. Uh, oh, that's a horrible one. Here, there it is. Let's say they're here. They can send this iron and this production back to one of the other cities in play. Let's start your turn. So let's say I'm producing with this city. I can use the production that the scout is sending back. Or I want to harvest iron. The scout's going to send the iron to that city. You're supposed to declare it at the start of turn, what the scout is sending back, and to what city. So you might want to think about that ahead of time. Okay. Once you are done with the city actions for your cities, the next player will take their city actions. And once everyone's done with their city actions, we'll go to movement. At the start of the game, you have a travel speed of 2, and you cannot cross water. You can explore new tiles by spending a point of movement. So, the scout will spend a point of movement and reveal that this is an actual pain in the butt. Any huts and villages will be placed on there. So, with 1 point of movement left, we're going to go have to start making our way to the other one. Now, if I had the appropriate technology to do it, navigation, we could cross the water with the army. We go 1, 2. We just couldn't end the move in the water until we get the right the right tech for that one. So things you can discover on the new map or the new part of the map. Oh, you'll notice that little arrow bit. Yeah, that's the direction you're coming from. But yeah, you can have your army move into the goody huts and just straight up get one use resources. If they move into the barbarian space, they will have to fight. Unless you're playing the Zulus in one of the expansions, which case you just kick them out. All right. So because it's part of movement, combat. But before combat, I'm going to say your as part of movement is stacking limit. Your scouts and your armies count for their stacking limit, which is weird because Clash of Cultures does its own odd thing with uh, stacking units. The settlers don't really count. But they count for this one. Also, scouts can't move into huts or villages, not without being protected by the army units. All right, combat. Each side gets a number of cards based on the number of army units. You always get 3 for having one army unit. You get an extra 2 for every army unit joining in. So, if you want to have a better chance of dealing with the villages, what you're going to need to do is send in 2. If you are defending your capital or a city, any other city, you will get +3 cards. These cards come from the stack that you have already built up. This is one of the things you have to be on top of in this game. Is it's not enough to simply build armies. You need to be building units as well. If you don't have the cards to back up the armies, uh, they're gonna get wiped out. Just saying. So for the barbarian side, they will take 1 of each, and the player to either your left or your right, I forget which, but they will play as the barbarians. And combat order is all right. Starting with the defender. Unless the attacker is attacking a walled city, in which case they'll go first. They will play a card face up on the basis of the rank for their unit types. Barbarians are always considered rank 1. You can either start a new front or attack a open front. So they're going to play their horsemen first. Okay. I'm going to play. Let's see here. All right. All my stuff is at rank 1. So I will place my spearmen, which is a strength 3 to their 2, and attacks first, and trumps them. Uh, infantry hits first before mounted. Mounted hits first before artillery, and artillery hits first. Right. No. I got this right here. Infantry hits first before mounted. Mounted hits first before artillery, and artillery hits first before infantry. So, a 3 will do 3 wounds to the horseman. 2 are enough to kill it. Okay. So they'll have. Um, they could play the archer against the spearman and inflict some damage, but it won't be enough to survive. So what we'll do is we'll start a new front with that archer. And then horsemen will go before the archer and kill that. And they'll place their spearmen on a new front. And we will kill our spearmen. All right. So you'll add um, the values of your surviving side, uh, the survivors on your side, plus any bonuses you've accumulated through defending a city, having a general, certain technologies, having barracks, and the higher total will win. I believe defense breaks ties. I believe. Yeah. The winner, if they lost, uh, if they lost like 2 units, would also lose a figure, but they cannot lose their last figure. Fighting against other players gives you an opportunity to steal trade, culture tokens, resources, other stuff. But defeating barbarians just gives you whatever's on the back. Um, some resources can only be found from the culture cards or the huts. For example, spies do some pretty sneaky stuff, like cancel culture events and other evil things. Where are they? Yeah, there's a lot of iron to be found in the barbarians. So, but this is why you want to fight barbarian villages. Is you might find the uranium you need to make use of atomic theory. Um, yeah. Once you're done, any cards that weren't killed will go back to your stack. Over the course of the game, you'll build up a stack of these cards, and when you actually go into battle, you'll shuffle them up and get the cards you actually need. If you have more cards than what you would actually get. But by clearing out these spaces, it'll make room for the scout to eventually get over and build a new city over here. Once you're done moving, the next player will move, and then once everyone has moved, we'll go into uh, research. So you'll notice on your trade dial it's marked 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Your trade, if your trade is at that point, you can research that level of technology at most. If you research, it wipes out all of your trade down to 0, plus 1 for every coin you currently have. So let's say I'm going to take up. Um, what's my other harvester resource tech over here? Horseback riding. Hey, to make use of that silk. So I have enough to get a level 1 tech, and it forms the next card of that level. And I have 1 coin, so I'm down to 1 trade. So the way the technology building works, you have to build a pyramid. So your starting tech, your level 1s, and then now that you have a level 1, you can build a level 2. And then once you get another level 1 and another level 2, you can make a level 3. Certain cards will have certain immediate effects that you'll have to keep in mind. Some things improve your unit power. So, if we develop mathematics, that improves our artillery rank to rank 2. So now, when using artillery cards, artillery units, we use the rank 2 version, so that's a 3 strength. However, the cost now goes up to that level, which means instead of 5, it'll cost 7. At rank 3, it'll be 9, and at rank uh, 4, it'll be 11. So you want to build those units early if you're planning to upgrade them to another level. Some things might improve your building types. So with currency, we can build a market. With banking, markets are now banks. Every market that I currently have in play becomes a bank. And from this point on, I can only build banks. And at that new cost. All right. Once you have the technology to do it, you can research space flight, and doing so immediately wins you the game. Everyone is kind of expected to research technology at the same time. Priority for space flight goes in player order. All right. Once everyone's done with research, goes on to the next turn, and it'll continue going around until one of the victories is hit. Again, military victory, you're going to have to get over to your opponent's capital city and hit them with enough force to counteract, you know, their, their bonus and uh, whatever defense they have with cards. And if you succeed on an attack on a capital, you immediately win the game. The key to military victory is try to hit your opponent's armies elsewhere on the board to reduce their defensive units and make it so they have less things to protect themselves with. 6 cards is a lot to take on, so if you can reduce their units by fighting their armies elsewhere, you can potentially make the attack on the capital um, so much easier. If you think people are going to attack you, you should try to build more units, ultimately. Cultural victory is very straightforward. Just devote to the arts and put that culture and eventually trade towards your culture victory. Um, because it's eating up your trade, you might think, oh, I'm not going to be able to do much with getting technology then. There is some technology that will help you towards getting the culture victory. And also some wonders in that process as well. Things like currency, spend incense on during your city management and get 3 culture, which will help you like breeze through level 1 or stage 1 of the culture track. America, their suggested starting capital puts the incense in their outskirts. They can um, start gathering that incense and use it uh, towards speeding up their culture run. Of economic victory, there are a number of where is it technologies that help with the economic victory, like pottery. Uh, any tier resources, put a coin token on this card. There's a lot of overlap between um, technology and economics that if you're going for one, the other's not too far away in case something goes wrong. Yeah, there's there are half of the great people in the great people stack provide coins, so that's worth going after. That's worth looking into. Um, you can get more great people with philosophy. Three resources, and then finally just technology. Whatever you can do to build up your trade uh, helps. Whatever also helps you build up your economics helps even more. Because getting set back down to zero every time you research is going to make it that much harder to pull off. The process of focusing on technology might also help you towards your other getting other victories instead, like the technologies that get you coins towards economics, the technologies that get you culture towards um, a cultural victory, the technologies that help you fight, like metalworking. When you play a unit from hand, add 3 to the strength of its attack by spending iron. If you've got a tough foe in front of you, just smack them in the face with a ton of iron. All right. But eventually somebody will win. The expansion offers like some. Oh, I want to say either the expansion or the errata adds something to kind of offer a score for the game, so that if someone achieves economic, technology, or cultural victory, it goes to the end of the round, and then players will count points based on number of technologies, number of coins, number of steps along the culture track, plus wonders. And that's your final score, I believe. It has been a while, but that's another potential way to resolve the end of the game. All right. Why the hell did I come back to this game after I sold it a number of times after getting other games? Why come back to this? Why do I like it? Precisely because the flexibility and the replayability, you just never know what's gonna come up on a map tile when you flip it over. You know, you might play the same civilization twice in a row, but you might try something different in a strategy with technology and starting space. You might go for different wonders and try doing things with those. So one of the things that might come up with the wonders as well is obsolescence, where it'll neutralize the card but leave the wonder intact. That's the other thing I missed is you can occupy the outskirts of your opponent's cities and deny them those resources. If you have a scout, you can send it back to one of your own cities. But yeah, this is still a solid game even after a decade later. Okay, it might not be mega safe, but it's going to be playable in a you know a more convenient amount of time, and it's still a good experience. There's still a lot of good options even with a base game. Um, it's just still a good game. Uh, it, Board Game Geek has it at like 300 something. That's like pretty freaking high after, considering they're primarily, you know, the games they've ranked so far are in like the 24,000s level. 22 to 24,000. So top 500 is pretty good. Yeah. The what is it's the intermingling of victory conditions and the ways to get to them. So that overlap means even if you've dedicated towards going one way and you hit some snags in that process, you still have the others that might not be too far behind that you could potentially use to win that way. And there's no we can only win one way approach to the game. Every path you take towards trying to win is valid. You want to fight, or you want to trade, or you want to research, or you want to um, build culture. Whatever path you want to take in this game, go for it because it'll lead to victory, and it's fun. This this game is a lot of fun, and I'm glad I found this copy again. Now, if I could only get the expansions, that's going to be the hard part. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Um, if you can find a copy of it, I challenge you to find a copy and play it and love it and just have a blast messing with history and all the crazy stuff you can do. All right. Thanks for watching. This has been Pillar. I'll see you next time.